And welcome everybody to the Equinox stream. We decided to stream live for the Equinox. We'll be streaming at the moment of the Equinox, so tell your friends and foes. We'll be back with you in a quick moment here. Here's a track and some graphics that would be relevant to the Smash News Network. Least busted name in news. So winter is almost over, folks. Congratulations, you survived so far. And we've got a countdown going on at the moment. So let's head to timeanddate.com if you're not familiar with the website. Good times. I'm going to put that timer on the screen here in just a quick moment. I think I've vanished. I've recondensed. So if you just bear with me a moment here, I will bring up the countdown timer. Maybe I ought to show you how to navigate the site, since I don't seem to remember where it is myself. We can learn together. By the way, we're going to change the colors of our Smash News Network thing, and let us know in the comments what you think of the keying out of my head. So I may look a little more spaced out now than I have recently. As I was filming the green, I had my color key turned off. I personally think it's a little better with my head being partially transparent here. Leave us a comment if you've got space on the brain. And yeah, occasionally we'll switch on and off depending on what we're actually showing. And so here's from Time and Date. Let's go to Time and Date's homepage. This is how I found this morning. I went to Sun and Moon. I went to Seasons. I went to March Equinox. And I think there is a countdown timer there. I thought there was. Hey, I could be wrong. Certainly this morning I found one. Of course, it was on the mobile device. Let us know in the comments if you know where that is. But the point of the stream, folks, is that today is the day at 11:33 when, oh, there it is. Today's the day at 11:33 and 25 seconds when Earth's equator crosses the solar equator. And the reason we were showing the NASA GOES weather satellite is because you get this perfectly straight line on the day of the equinox. There's the full view. Great view there from the NASA GOES east. The sun will basically trace the equator. Great view of this low pressure system in the North Atlantic. In fact, for all of you weather watchers, let's break that out. Check it out. Fantastic perspective there. Allow me to clear the path for that. That is berserk. We apologize if the imagery we show on the channel causes seizures. So thanks for leaving comments, everybody who has. Let us know what your plans are for the coming spring, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, or perhaps your autumn, to our viewers from under. And when I say from under, I mean from under the equator, like south of it. And for all of our viewers who can barely speak English, I apologize for my haphazard use of the English language. I have all kinds of weird Euro influences and things. Anyway, let's get off of that before I hurl. Go back to the full disk image. Spectacular imagery there. And we're hoping that you're not out there thinking that the planet is flat. So great view of the Northern Hemisphere there on the NASA GOES east. And again, it seems like an appropriate day to show such things. And of course, we've also got some additional solar imagery for you. We wouldn't let you down with that at the Smash News Network, least busted name of news. So yeah, what's going on? How are you? Are you enjoying your final 22 minutes of winter? Let us know in the comments what you thought of this past winter. It was interesting for us. Smash staff and I are considering writing a screenplay based on events of the last about 5 years. So check out the huge plasma filament down here. We got a huge plasma filament hanging out. It has been undulating here over the past 2 days. So that's the past 2 days. Let me bring up the last 2 hours. There you go. There's the last 2 hours. In a different wavelength there, that's ionized helium. Always a crowd favorite, the 304 angstroms wavelength. Great at showing plasma films absorption features as well as bright spots around active regions. You can also see some well-defined coronal holes like this one here. And the south polar coronal hole. So let's take another brief break here. We're going to play another track for you, this time at full volume. So beware. The rest of the music will be full volume. And this one is called Digitowel 2. Be back in about 2 minutes. So we captured some violent lightning this morning on the meteorology segment, if you haven't checked that out. youtube.com/smashamash/videos. Man, check out that low. Let's zoom back in on that. Powerful low here up in the North Atlantic. And it's all surrounded by dry, massive air, just not really serving to strengthen things. Of course, cold ocean water. So not a lot of convection there, as the skies remain mostly dry over that low. And for you non-meteorology nerds, lows rotate counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere. Let's bring up the U.S. visible imagery for once. We'll switch to a low zoom. And we'll focus on Cape Cod. Oops, I forgot to tell it to animate. There we go. Center the map on Cape Cod. A great view of the sunrise over the cloud tops. You can see actually the weather on the East Coast is actually being affected quite a bit by this system, which we saw incredible lightning on this morning on the meteorology segment. Crazy lightning map. Just a giant string of lightning generated associated with that. In fact, let's move this a little farther south, as it is quite an interesting band indeed. So now one of the things that may not be super evident to everybody, allow me to get off the screen, is the way ocean temperatures play into these systems, right? If you want to be a pro hurricane forecaster, one of the ways that you can help yourself to the data that you need is at nullschool.net. You bring up the Earth wind map, and you can take a look at sea surface temperature. So anomalously warm water there was associated with that string of lightning that we saw. And it was actually in this whole area here had a crazy string of lightning. Which again, we covered that in our meteorology segment this morning. So this, keep in mind, folks, what goes on here is you have more convective forces in this area than in this area. This area is highly convective, as water wants to evaporate out of the ocean. This area here, not. And this is part of the reason why you're seeing this low in the North Atlantic, not super powerful, because there is a bunch of cold water there. So you can see where it is located, as it is a low pressure, which means the ocean is literally higher. There's a little bulge right there in the ocean over that spot. But the water is so cold that you're not getting a lot of convection. Down here, you're getting a lot of convection. Anomalously warm temperatures there. And some anomalously cold temperatures there mixed into the Gulf Stream. So the Gulf Stream largely ending right about here at the moment. Let us know in the comments if you're from the UK. Is it exceedingly cold and snowy there? Which brings up some other interesting meteorological stuff. Let's take a look at windy.com. Windy.com is just spectacular. I don't know why it shows us Lower Saucon Township. It must think we're there because of the internet connection or something like that. I just wanted to take a look at the snowpack. So a cool thing about windy.com is you can get snow depth, which is totally sweet if you are a fan of the powder, as I am. And by the way, we will put your comments on the screen here momentarily. Just bear with us as I try to regain control of my own PC. In fact, let me take that hogwash off the screen and let us know in the comments if you've noticed an increase or a decrease in malarkey in the past year. Let us know in the comments about that. All right, windy.com. Come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. It refuses to close that menu. I will fight you, windy.com. Check it out, a bunch of new snow there around eastern Canada, places like Nova Scotia. I just wanted to take a look at the snowpack. Quite a lot of snow. And there we centered the map over this low. For some reason, I can't get this menu to go away. I don't know what's up with it. What's up with that? does not recognize. Anyway, windy.com. It usually works great. We usually use it on a different browser, by the way. So when we make the daily space weather videos and the meteorology segments, we actually use Brave browser for all that, if you're wondering which browser the Smash News Network least busted name in news uses. That's the browser that we use. And by the way, you can actually join a voice chat, believe it or not, on our Discord channel. You can find links, a permanent invite link. You need an invite link to join a Discord channel. And there's actually a permanent link at smashandmash.com on the homepage. If you'd like to join the Discord chat, we do keep that Discord channel ready for our viewers. If for some reason you need to contact us, we do get notifications on that. And of course, Discord associated with the realm of gaming. Let's bring up your comments here, as I haven't gotten a chance to put them on the screen yet. And thanks everybody who's stopped by for the final 12 minutes of winter. And leave us a comment anyway if you didn't view live. Thanks to everybody who did. Press the share button and tell your friends and foes on social media that we're streaming live. All of your snow is melted, Nay? That's crazy. MJ says, look at the bizarre circle shapes appearing in those clouds, like cookie cutter circles. I'm not seeing it. It's cold and getting windy here in Pennsylvania. It's quite cloudy. And let's actually show the water vapor map, because it's going to show this cold air mass, which is moving in as winds increase. We're transitioning from sort of humid, balmy air in Pennsylvania to pretty cold air, actually. This system right here got some cold air. And keep in mind, folks, cold air is more massive, meaning it literally weighs more. It's more massive than warm air. This is why, for example, a hot air balloon floats. Anyway, that's your that's your weather physics words of wisdom. We always like to provide some of those here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. And if you're wondering where that came from, that is literally just a jab at CNN, the, quote, most trusted name in news. Remember that? Do they even still use that? Does anybody even still watch it? Is there a tumbleweed blocking the front door of their headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia? I want to know. So let us know in the comments if it's the case. And let me put your chats back up on the screen here. We're going to zoom in on the area around the Ohio-West Virginia border here. As this cold air mass pushes things through, keeping those severe thunderstorms out to sea. And a huge pressure gradient making its way across Pennsylvania. So in this area right here, the atmosphere is trying to reach static equilibrium between two different pressure regimes. This is cold air up here. Obviously much warmer air down here. Don't confuse those pluses and minuses for charge. Those were temperature plus and minuses. And let's play another track for you here. Actually, let's put your chats back up on the screen. I didn't get all the way to the bottom, I don't think. Geomagnetic storm interference? No, MJ. Geomagnetic storms don't really interfere with tropospheric weather. At least not in some sort of a short scale like this. Only in much lengthier scales, I'd say. And let's break out another track here from... Oh, I've vanished. It's much better. So, and actually, let's bring up the countdown timer here since we're getting quite close to spring. Yes, quite close to spring. We're only less than 8 minutes from spring. So stick around, and we will be back in about 2 or 3 minutes here after we play another track from GCP. This one's called Tilt-A-Whirl. All right, so I'm back, and before winter is over, a quick toast to all of you survivors of winter. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Winter 21 to 22 will be a winter we do not soon forget. Cheers to you, the viewer, the friend, the foe, and everybody else tuning in. All right. So what are you chugging first thing? The first thing we're chugging at the Smash News Network, these busted name of news, is the Grimy Rockstar beverage. Yes, the Grimy Rockstar beverage. The plain old the oldest, the most basic can of sugar. Rockstar. I remember when I first had it. It was back when I was a really obnoxious insurance agent, around 2002 to 2003. I and a few other young guys used to do all kinds of stuff at work that was just awesome, but it was fun stuff. And that was when I first discovered Rockstar Energy Drink, because I was showing up for meetings, chugging the energy drink and the coffee at lunchtime because, well, sometimes it got a little boring. Let's just say that. And it was an interesting couple years in the office, to say the least. So, and let's bring the countdown timer back up here, as we're only less than 3 minutes from spring. Who is delighted about winter ending? We did not enjoy the winter of 2021 to 2022, for the most part. Let us know what you thought in the comments. Was it a disaster? Was it a delight? Was it a delightful disaster? Was it disastrously delightful? Tell your friends and foes that we want to know. Leave a comment even if you didn't have time to view the video live. Once again, thanks to everybody who leaves comments at the Smash News Network, Least Busted Name of News. We do consider all of the content to be a collaborative effort. So we appreciate when I make mistakes and people correct me, because it is a thing that happens. So, and remember, folks, don't be ossified in your beliefs. If you're ossified in your beliefs, you're probably not doing science. Just saying. So, shout out to everybody who tuned into the video. Cheers. And let's bring the timer back, as we're barely a minute from spring. So super stoked about that. Drink them if you got them. We're going to be chugging. I'm going to be chugging first thing. And I figured I would just end winter by saying, hey, YouTube viewers. And hey, YouTube, why don't you, I don't know, fix your software? Maybe fix your software? Just saying. Maybe a wise suggestion. So yeah, it was an interesting winter. The kind of winter that it would be nearly impossible to forget. So only 36 seconds of winter left and counting. I'm excited. Fingers crossed. I've almost survived winter. And it wasn't without a bit of effort. Yes. Oh, man. Can I blow up the timer bigger? Nope, it only makes it smaller. Oh my God. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the Earth just crossed the celestial equator. The solar equator just crossed by planet Earth. Thanks for tuning in at Smash News Network, Least Busted Name of News. If you'll excuse me, I've got a chug, and I'm going to play a track during the chug process. So we're just going to play a short 1-minute track here for you. This one's called Blacksmith, the vid version. So that's not the average wavelength that we're showing there. That's the 284 angstroms. Another ionized iron species. You can find that on the GOES 16 SUVI. And thanks for leaving a comment. Demaran. Demaran. That's a good name. And if anybody else out there is a new viewer who's never tuned in before, welcome to the channel. Congratulations on realizing it exists. Press like, press subscribe, tell your friends and foes about the channel. If you want the most in-depth space weather video you'll find on the internet, I think you may want to tune in.
Just a good old smash, never meaning no harm. Beats all you'd never saw, been in trouble on social media since before its existence. Straightening facts, smacking down hacks. Someday our viewers might get me, but big tech never will. Making my way the only way I know how. That's just a little bit more than big tech will allow. Just a good old smash, wouldn't change if I could. Fighting the nonsense, it's a neo-renaissance in the hood.
Sup, noobs? Sup, noob? Noob. By the way, great show for everybody to watch on YouTube. It's called Pure Ownage. All right? If you've never seen it before, it's spelled P-W-N-A-G-E. Do not say pwn. It is not pwn. Eugene, like I, is a gamer. So it's not pwnage, it's ownage. And there are two separate series for this. There is the web series as well as the TV series. I think you can find them both on YouTube. I'm not exactly sure. But the web series you certainly can. There are, looks like 17 episodes there. And I'm going to play a little clip from this because this is one of my favorite shows of all time. So there's a very famous clip from this gentleman here known as FPS Doug. That's not Doug there, that's Jeremy. And this fellow right here is FPS Doug. So if you've never seen FPS Doug before, it's the epitome of gaming insanity. And we just love it. If you are a gamer, check out Pure Ownage. Eugene, have you watched the show yet? Because it is just spectacular. Here's one of the clips. FPS Doug is a guy that has a lot of energy. So here's a quick clip.
Always talking about like killing people and stuff. Boom, headshot.
So if you've ever heard boom headshot, that is FPS Doug. It's a highly endorsed web series. If you know anything about gaming, you'll probably understand what's going on, and it's hilarious. So if you want to see if you like the show, that's a highly recommended episode 3, FPS Doug. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. There are music videos, there are musical montages, but the hilarity ensues for sure. Thanks to FPS Doug. So let us know what your web series are. What you like to watch on YouTube. For example, The Guild is another good one. Eugene, that's another one about gaming. A little more popular perhaps, as it's got some famous actress. Not the GUID. The GUID. Get it? The gaming ID? Anyway, The Guild. Another highly recommended series. If you are a fan of gaming, or if you're just an experienced gamer, you'll probably appreciate this one. It's also highly recommended. But yeah, Pure Ownage. That's one of the first like YouTube series that I just basically binge watched the whole series because it is just spectacular. And I got an idea. Let's just call Eugene out of nowhere and see if he answers. Will it work? What will happen? What will happen? It is a very sketchy thing. Calling people in such sketchy countries. I don't trust it.
Yeah.
Ah, Eugene, he's there. Streaming live, by the way. Streaming live, as you probably were aware.
Yeah, I had to mute your stream because it's confusing.
So happy spring.
Yeah, sure.
Congratulations on surviving the winter of 2021 to 2022. I suspect it wasn't the most optimal winter that you've experienced.
Yeah, surely it wasn't.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan for oh so many reasons, which perhaps we'll make a video about that later.
Okay.
Put it this way, Smash staff and I think we're going to write a screenplay. And it will be based on real events, but it will be sensationalized. I guess it'll be a horror movie.
That's kind of lame, though, isn't it?
Oh, come on.
Like,
as lame as-
metaphorically describing real events. That's super lame.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was
that's
lame like
only
200
idiots.
years ago.
Oh, come on.
And it's still lame.
Really?
Yeah.
You're that much of an art elitist that it has
Yeah.
to be more random than that?
I
for it
mean,
to
you
be-
have to really make good excuse to unlame it at least a little bit. But I don't know.
All right. Well, I mean, there are certain stylistic things that I'm planning on adding that you would have no idea, sir.
Like what? Tentacles?
No. I'm
Well,
thinking.
you should think about it.
Well, I've thought about it. I just haven't divulged what it'll be.
Okay.
So you may not know that, Eugene, that I'm a dungeon master, actually.
Cool.
And so I have like an inordinate amount of knowledge about mythology and monsters and things, folklore, all that stuff, because it's all, most of the stuff in D&D is based on like real folklore, right?
Yeah.
And so I'll be pulling out some of that expertise in the writing of the screenplay, because I could, for example, let's take a look at the Buffy the Vampire Slayer universe, right? It's fairly, what's the right word? It's fairly consistent with like largely real mythology. It's not a weird sensationalized magical universe that has its own rules that make no sense to people that understand fantasy universes. So, for example, when you look at I don't know, the Harry Potter world, right? It's got some weird, funky rules that don't apply to people that play D&D. We go, what? How did they? I don't know. I guess I'm just being a D&D elitist at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the rules are different. Like, you have, like, I guess you can consider Harry Potter like a semi-low magic, what is called.
Yeah,
Like, you don't have, like, crazy stuff like in D&D, like people stopping time and, like, destroying entire cities with fireballs and shit.
Well, it depends on how, like, if you have characters that are, like, level 19, they're going to be able to destroy entire cities, basically. If you have a party of like 5 people and they're all level 19, look out, D&D world, because they will really cause some harm, even if they have a stingy dungeon master. But if you
We
have like
will be attacking the darkness.
they'll be like evaporating the darkness and like going to hell on purpose just to get in better fights and things like this. And but at the same time, if you have a D&D who's extremely what we call a Monty Hall campaign, where the dungeon master is just giving people crazy magical items and making life a little too easy for the party, then you can have relatively low level characters that are like taking over the universe. And that's sort of the line that a good D&D that a good dungeon master has to straddle, because you have to reward players for doing stuff, but you don't want to. There has to be a balance. You know what I mean? If you have level 15 guys, they'll be pretty good at taking on the city guards in a large city or something like that. But if they go to outer planes and they try to mess around in the outer planes, they will be housed instantly and be like locked in an outer planar prison for 1,000 years or something like that.
Is that what you wanted to talk about
That's
today?
what I'm saying. No, let's talk about the Equinox.
Okay.
Would you like to explain to the viewers from your perspective what the Equinox is?
I don't think I have any like special perspective on it. It's just an astronomical phenomenon caused by the tilt of the Earth's spin axis.
Yeah, the Earth's
with
axial
respect
tilt,
to
right?
its orbit. With respect to its orbit, that is.
Right, the axial tilt, right?
Yes.
And of course, that's why I have this graphic on the screen, because this is the time when this becomes essentially a vertical line.
Yeah.
For everybody who thinks the planet's flat, well, you look at the image on the screen. Look at the image on the screen.
So during the equinox, basically, the terminator becomes perpendicular to the equator. If that makes sense.
Exactly.
So the sun is exactly at the equator.
It's like the sun. Yeah, it's like the sun traces the path of the equator today.
Yes. And hence, all the latitudes get the same time of day. I mean, the duration is the same.
Exactly.
Not exactly, because of atmospheric refraction and shit like that, but
yeah, and of course,
in an ideal world, yeah.
Yeah, like there's a moment, like wherever it is noon, like or wherever noon is when the equinox falls. That's sort of the real equinox, because that's the sun's equator is exactly in line with the ecliptic at the equator of the Earth at that moment. Wherever true noon fell, which is like in the Atlantic Ocean somewhere.
Should be somewhere in the west of the Atlantic, I think.
Yeah, it would be one time zone to our east. Oh, probably over South America, I guess. I don't know South American time zones.
I mean, if we're talking equator, then it's maybe somewhere in Brazil.
So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of particles involved. There are a lot of particles on the screen right now, Eugene. Shall we talk? I know what we should talk about. Let's talk about why it is solar protons don't hit me in the head very often.
Because we have a magnetosphere and the atmosphere.
Yes. Yes. I would tend to agree, as these things behave like... First of all, they're very diffuse, right? When we're measuring the solar wind from Lagrangian point 1, and we're saying, hey, the solar wind is 10 protons per cubic centimeter.
Yeah.
That's not a lot of protons per cubic centimeter. How many would you say would be in sea level troposphere air? A lot more than...
Well, 10 to the 21st or something like that.
So
I can't really calculate it.
A 10 with 21 zeros after it or something like that.
Yeah, maybe not 21, maybe 18. I don't know.
Somewhere around there. More than I care to try to guess what that number would be.
Yeah, I mean, the molar mass air is roughly 29, right? But air is obviously a mixture, so it's like a rough estimate.
And so this is the
One mole, yeah.
And so this is the main reason why even a cosmic ray typically doesn't make it all the way to the surface, because there's a lot of stuff in between us and the cosmic ray source.
Yeah, wait, I'm trying to make like a napkin calculation.
Nice.
So if we have a meter cubed of air is roughly 1 kilogram, so that's 1,000 grams, and we divide it by 29 to get the moles per meter. We'll get 35-ish, 34 and a half. And that's meter. And in centimeter, we have 100, 100, a million times less. So that's divided by million. So that's 3 times 10 to the minus 5 moles per centimeter. And each mole has 10 to the 23rd. So that would mean that, yeah, 1 centimeter is actually roughly 10 to the 18th of particles in the air. Did you just disappear or something?
Did I vanish?
Yeah, I didn't hear from you in a while.
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
So like 10 to the 18th.
Yeah, that would be my estimate, yeah.
So a 10 with 18 zeros after it. That's
Yes.
That's pretty many zeros.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how much denser the troposphere is, probably around sea level at an average pressure, is probably what Eugene's calculating here.
Yes.
And so that's why a thing like really diffuse gas coming from the sun, whether it's at high speeds or not, is not going to change global weather patterns. For example, this low up here. Did you see this North Atlantic low we were showing earlier? It's pretty sweet. Look at that thing.
It's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it's bulky. It's just dry air though, so it's not, there's not a lot of moisture in it, and the ocean water is very cold. So there's like no convection there. But it is a low. I mean, for example, the ocean is bulging up a little bit underneath that, right?
Yeah, I think.
You know, maybe like 6 inches or 12 inches or something like that. Not a whole lot, not like with a hurricane storm surge, but some percentage of a foot or something like that difference, probably toward the center of that, toward the outside edge. And that's just because the atmosphere isn't pressing down as hard as it is under a clear sky. You know, that's one of the very counterintuitive things about the atmosphere, right? Is that the air is more massive on a dry day than it is on a moist day.
Yeah, it is.
And that's, of course, why you see high pressure on a clear, cloudless day. Because of the molar mass of nitrogen versus H2O. And of course,
I would say it also has to do with direction of the motion of air. Because in lows it goes upwards, and in highs it goes downwards.
yeah, that's true too. It's like a pressing down versus a lifting up force.
Yes.
As the atmosphere tries to reach static equilibrium. So Eugene, I don't know how much do you know about U.S. geography?
A little bit.
Do you know where I'm located?
Somewhere in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we're right about here. So that this line right here, this is called the Delaware River.
Mhm.
That comes all the way down to Philly. That's the border between Pennsylvania and New Jersey, one that I try very hard not to cross. Which is nothing against the citizens of New Jersey. I don't have any problem with them. I just don't like the government of New Jersey. I hear it's a very high tax state as well, which isn't particularly surprising to people like Eugene, I would imagine.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Oh, I said Eugene's probably not surprised that New Jersey, a place that I don't like the government of, also has very high taxes.
Sure.
Because it kind of makes sense. There's sort of a revolving door of money, power, and overreach in certain places. So how are things geopolitically around home, Eugene?
My home?
Yeah.
Kind of sucks. But I mean, after like 2020, it just got worse and worse and worse. So I'm kind of used to that dynamic.
Right. And what's so your stance is that Russia's toast, and based on what I see and based on what I see and the accuracy of your previous predictions, I would tend to agree that Russia is brown bread, not coming back.
I mean, I'm very optimistic, as I've said.
Yeah. I would tend to agree.
Better.
Yeah, I mean, our finest days lie ahead for sure, I would say. And it's for a whole variety of reasons, you know, like Eugene is a little more pessimistic over things like the US dollar than I am. You know, because there's a leveraging sort of with, like, how do you put it? There's sort of a Europe's being pulled in both directions, right? Europe's being pulled to the east because the economic influence of places like Southeast Asia, and also to the west because of the economic influence of the US.
So,
well, we just have a little bit of a different perspective on this one because, while I consider a lot of stocks in the U.S. to be giant bubbles that are overvalued, it's still a good place to invest because no matter how banana republic-y it gets, it's still got most of the features that you would expect in the U.S. And as the dollars inflate, the other major world currencies are going to inflate slightly worse. That's my main argument against both Peter Schiff and Eugene, because I think you're underestimating the badness, the lack of quality of other fiat currency. So it's not like the U.S. fiat currency is good, it's just that other fiat currencies worse. The yen, the euro.
I may actually agree with this. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I figured we wouldn't be very far off with a lot of this analysis because there's a lot of gray area here because assets are massively inflated. And what can you say? Silver is not massively inflated yet, I guess.
I don't know. I haven't looked into prices that much lately.
I know we've had some viewers who've doubled their money, you know, because we pretty actively covered silver when it was less than $12 an ounce back in 2020. Around the same time, Saudi Arabia decided to crash the oil market. That was a genius move. Remember that one? When oil was negative $40-some per barrel?
Well, that was late 2014.
That
wasn't 12.
That was in 2020, man.
Oh, you mean like literally a couple of years ago?
Yeah, what happened was Trump said, "Hey, OPEC, could you reduce your output a little bit?" And OPEC said, "I think what we'll do is we'll increase output." And they increased output, and they destroyed the U.S. oil shale industry and crashed the price of oil all at once and made themselves look like complete imbeciles. So Saudi Arabia, everybody who was paying attention to the commodities market and saw that happen, it was basically Aramco's fault, which is a state-run oil company owned by the government of Saudi
So I'm
Arabia.
looking at it, and by March, roughly it fell to $20 per barrel.
Yeah, but there was a point where it was negative $40 per barrel.
No, I don't think this is technically possible.
All right. You don't have to believe it.
But now it's 108, like literally right now.
Yeah. So you would think that U.S. fossil fuel production would come back online just as a result of that. I'm waiting.
But these are the speculative prices. They don't mean too much in terms of like real supply and demand.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like as soon as the price of oil changes, it changes the price of gas at the pump. Like it doesn't work like that. That stuff has to get refined, and it's a huge lagging indicator, we would call it, in the realm of economics. Anyway, thanks everybody for leaving all of these additional comments. I like this name here. It's /////////// Pretty good. Who says, did the sunrise, was it on the equator when it come up?
Looking at silver, and the peaks were like in early 2010s. It was like 50.
Dag.
And now it's 25.
Yeah. Yep. And it was below 12 in March of 2020.
Yeah.
So let's play one more track and close this thing out, because I was expecting this to actually be over by now, but Eugene, being the fantastic conversationalist that he is, has caused this stream to be extended. So I'm going to play one more track. This is only about a minute and a half in length. I'll be right back at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. All right, once again, thanks viewers for leaving comments. Thanks, Eugene, if you haven't hung up on us. Eugene, you still there?
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping by the Discord chat.
Yeah, thanks for calling me.
For these future videos, I was actually just sitting in our voice channel. Everybody, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about here, if you head to smashomash.com, you can find a permanent invite link to our Discord channel. So this is something that we'll typically do when we're streaming live. Right down here, this little link right there, that's a permanent invite to our Discord channel. So you'd be able to just cut in on our conversation if I was in the regular voice chat, which I guess I still am. I don't know if a call can interrupt that or not. I don't mess with it that much. Oh, and I've vanished. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, happy spring, happy autumn to everybody who's in the southern hemisphere. Eugene, any closing closing statements?
Probably not.
All right. Well, thanks again for joining us. We'll see you soon at the Smash News Network, Least Busted Name and News. And thanks again, Eugene. Talk to you soon.